What's up, Guardians? Profane here. Thanks for checking out the video. In less than 2 months, the final shape will be here. A huge expansion that will introduce a ton of new content, a new raid, new enemy factions, new prismatic subclasses, and a ton of new challenges for players to overcome. One of the biggest adversities that players will have right out of the gate is that there will only be 3 days between the release of the new expansion and the release of the new raid. So today we'll be covering everything that you need to start doing now so that you'll be better prepared when the final shape launches. And I want to start by talking about resource materials. Legendary shards will become depreciated when the final shape launches, so this will put a much larger emphasis on Glimmer and other materials like upgrade modules, enhancement cores, and prisms. For those who have a large stockpile of legendary shards already, you'll want to try to use as many of these as you can before they become depreciated. A new raid gives us a good reason to buy a bunch of raid banners, but since Glimmer will become a much more used currency, we could just as easily stockpile Phantasmal fragments that could be exchanged for Glimmer. Through the lectern at the moon, you can get 1 fragment for 10 legendary shards, and 10 fragments will give you 10,000 Glimmer whenever exchanged through Master Raoul. Exchange rates might change once final shape is here, but this is still the best way of spending these excess legendary shards. A new expansion means a new power level grind, and while things will probably be different than we're used to, the core concepts will still remain. This means upgrade modules will be a precious commodity, so you should make it a point to complete weekly campaign missions so that you can stock up on these now. And once final shape does get here, it'll be in your best interest to try to conserve these as much as possible. So don't let yourself get into a habit of constantly infusing every single piece of armor and weapon. We also have enhancement cores, prisms, ascendant shards, and alloy, which are all vital resources towards masterworking armor and crafting new weapons. Some of these have a limit to how many you can hold, but in the end, you'll need as many of these as you can get your hands on. Enhancement cores are a common reward when completing legendary and master law sectors, and they've also been made available through the new onslaught activity, so that'll be a great way to farm for those if you're running low. Prisms, ascendant shards, and alloy are going to be found in more challenging activities like trials, master wellspring, dares of eternity, legendary missions, legendary onslaught, and grandmaster nightfalls. You also have the option of applying a resource mod onto your ghost so that you'll gain additional Glimmer, enhancement cores, or enhancement prisms based on which mod you select. Bounty hoarding is another thing that you'll need to start doing before the final shape gets here. What is bounty hoarding? It's when you complete a bounty but don't cash it in. Unless Bungie implements some sort of failsafe against it, bounty hoarding will let you carry over these bounties to be cashed in once final shape is here. To maximize how much XP that you'll be able to gain, you'll want to hoard as many of the XP++ and XP+ bounties that you can, and you'll want to do this on each character. There's several vendors that offer these bounties, including Hawthorne, Petravenge, Barracks, Shawhan, Eris Morn, and the Lectern. Zur and Nimbus also provide them. And once you've finished all of those XP++ and XP+ bounties, go ahead and fill the rest of your bounty spots with whatever other bounties you can grab. When the new expansion arrives, there will be new quests that you'll need to pick up, so you'll need to make sure that you do keep a few spots open between your quest and bounty tabs so that you don't have any issues picking those up. Next up, let's talk about craftable weapons. Crafted weapons are some of the strongest in the game. Currently, we have 3 different sets of craftable seasonal weapons, and we also have exotic missions like the Presage, Seraph Shield, and Vox Obscura, and all offering different craftable weapons. The rotation of exotic missions will be changed when the final shape gets here, and all of the seasonal Lightfall weapons will be going away. So if you're missing out on any of the patterns for these weapons, then you'll want to be sure to jump into those exotic missions and the seasonal content before they're gone. Since we don't really know what weapons will be superior in the final shape, it wouldn't hurt to try to get as many of these crafted before the new currency systems kick in. As you are leveling up crafted weapons, don't forget about exotic catalysts. Certain catalysts will drastically improve the performance of exotic weapons, like we've seen with the Malfeasance. To be able to easily farm those catalysts, you can go to the Grasp of Avarice entrance, the Shurochi encounter of Last Wish, or drop down into the Thrall Room in the new Whisper mission. Seasonal legendary weapons won't be the only thing getting removed when the final shape releases. Seasonal exotic missions for the Wishkeeper, the Wicked Implement, and the Vexcalibur will most likely get put on the shelf to be put back into rotation at a later time. And these are some pretty good exotics that could all be beneficial in the final shape, so be sure to get them now while they're still available. Another set of weapons that you'll want to be sure to farm out for now will be the new Brave weapons. When the final shape launches, those weapons will be able to have enhanced traits, just like raid weapons. But this current lineup of weapons will only be available now in Season of the Wish. Into the Light has introduced a lot of things, one of which is the Gift of the Thunder Gods, which is a chest that's in the Hall of Champions, and it provides players with an exotic armor piece, an exotic weapon, and a complete legendary armor set, and this is available on each character. So be sure that you collect these before the final shape, as this chest will go away, just like the new light packs that were also added in Into the Light. So be sure that you claim all of these, especially if you are a new or returning player who's trying to play some catch up. With new prismatic subclasses, build crafting is going to see a complete revolution. Having the best available armor is going to help make the perfect build. And there's no better legendary armor than Artifice Armor. Artifice Armor includes an extra armor socket, allowing you to reallocate character stats as you need, which will give you a lot of flexibility when putting together different builds. Artifice Armor can be obtained from Master Dungeons and through competitive Crucible. And with builds in mind, it would be a really good idea to get a few preset builds saved into your character screen so that you'll be ready for whatever challenges get thrown at you between the new legendary missions and the new raid. And I will leave the links to a few different build videos down in the description, so be sure to check those out if you need any help deciding on what builds to add. Bungie will be giving players an extra 100 vault spaces, but there will be a lot of new weapons and new armor that you'll want to toss in there. So doing a little bit of light vault cleaning would be a good idea. You'd want to focus on getting rid of any duplicate items or items that would be easily reobtained from collections, like any of the exotic sparrows, ghosts, or ships that you may have tossed into the vault. Bungie has announced that they will be reverse sunsetting all of those 1600 power level weapons and armor sets. So if you have any of these that have been sitting in your vault collecting dust, I would not recommend to get rid of them. As is the case with every new expansion, there will be a ton of new cosmetic items added into the Eververse store. New shaders, new emotes, and all kinds of other goodies that you can only get with silver or bright dust. So stockpiling bright dust should be a priority right now. Vendors like Zavala, Drifter, and Shax offer bounties that reward bright dust, and if you still have any uncompleted seasonal challenges, those will provide a good bit of bright dust. With a new raid coming up, there will be a new set of craftable raid weapons and new armor, but if you intend on purchasing any of those through the end raid vendor, you'll need spoils of Conquest. So it'll be a good idea to start jumping into some of the newer current raids, or the new Pantheon raid activity that will be releasing here soon, so that you can start stockpiling those spoils of Conquest. If you're not someone that has a lot of time or patience to put towards raiding, you could always take advantage of a couple of different raid chests that you can farm as a solo player. The Vault of Glass, Vow of the Disciple, and Root of Nightmare all have chests that can be accessed as a solo player. And with roughly 5 weeks worth of farming, you'd have plenty of spoils of Conquest. If you have completed any of the encounters within those raids, you'd also be able to get weapons and armor. There's a few other raid chests that solo players can access, but raids like Garden of Salvation, Last Wish, or Deepstone Crypt do not provide spoils of Conquest, so you'd only be able to get weapons and armor, which could still be beneficial. I will leave a link down in the description to a more detailed video covering how to access each of those chests. And with that, we've now covered several different things that you need to start doing now to be better prepared for the final shape when it launches on June 4th. If you've got any additional tips and tricks to help your fellow Guardians out, then be sure to let us know those down in the comments below. And I'd love to hear your thoughts about the final shape, the new raid, and what builds you'll be taking into it. Let us know down in the comments. Thank you as always for checking out the video. If you enjoyed and found it helpful, then be sure to hit that like button below, along with the subscribe button if you're new. Both are greatly appreciated, and both really do help support the channel. If you're a new Light Guardian or a battle-hardened veteran looking for a new home, then be sure to check out the Discord link that's also in the description and join one of the greatest communities in all of Destiny. And until next time, Guardians, this has been Profane, wishing you all some happy hunting.